There's a lot going on, man. If you've been following the news, you've been following online, Austin's in an uproar. There's a lot of communities just going, what the heck's going on? Some schools potentially shutting down. And it's kind of hard to keep up with the whole deal. And in the studio with us is an artist named Ben Kweller.
I want to hear this ACL story first.
He has one of the best ACL stories ever. And as soon as I mentioned it, I'll let Ben tell it because it was in the paper and you'll remember it as soon as he tells you.
Well, we showed up to perform at Austin City Limits Music Festival, and I'd been on the tour bus for about 2 weeks with the AC blasting nonstop, and walked outside to the Texas heat and went back into the bus, started getting dressed in the back lounge, and I noticed something wet on my nose out of both nostrils, and it was blood. I was like, okay, I've had a bloody nose before, no big deal. So I started pinching it. 15 minutes goes by, 30 minutes goes by, it's not stopping. And then I'm, 45 minutes away from playing. The paramedics come, they're like, we can cancel your set, it's all good, we can go, get you some medical help. I'm like, man, there's no way you're canceling my show, because of a nosebleed, because you're going to have to say Ben Kweller has a nosebleed. That's like the nerdiest way to cancel a gig, you know what I mean?
Right.
You can't play because of a nosebleed, ladies and gentlemen. So,
especially in your own backyard,
exactly,
on a big
man.
stage.
So I end up, getting on stage. I told the crowd what was going on, that I'm bleeding out of both nostrils. And I played as many songs as I could. Blood was going everywhere. The heat, it was so hot. So then I had this idea, well, maybe if I put some tampons on my nose, it would stop the bleeding, and I could get through some other songs. So I say, hey, does anybody have any tampons? And then hundreds of tampons get thrown at me. And, of course, I put them up my nose. And I went as long as I could. And then finally someone dragged me off stage. There was an ambulance there, and they took me to the hospital. They're like, dude, you can't play anymore. And it was like apparently a crack in some capillary up high near my brain. And the guy, the doctor was like, you got to chill on the AC and you got to just keep the windows open. And that night I was,
The next day, the pictures were all the pictures online and in the States were just blood everywhere.
Totally.
Everywhere.
Worst gig ever?
Worst gig ever? Well,
Was it?
I mean, I don't really know what my worst gig ever was, but that was definitely the most memorable gig, I would say, Golly.
A classic moment. Now, you have gotten involved in a rally that's going on tonight.
Yeah, I have. 2 days ago, we were out of town visiting family, and I had no idea what was going on, and I came home to all these emails and hearing all this. They're closing Zilker Elementary School. They're closing Barton Hills, which are the two schools in my neighborhood. And I'm just like, what's going on? We moved actually to Zilker because of that school. We love that school. It's such a great place. They have a focus on the arts and music. They do an outdoor concert every year, of which I played last year, the concert. And we just love the school. And actually Dorian, who's here with me playing on a computer over there, say hi.
Hi, Dorian.
Hi.
He's actually a future kindergartner. He's going to be going to school there next year.
And that's why you picked that neighborhood.
That's why we picked that neighborhood. And so we're just really, kind of confused and surprised. And it's actually, Zilker and Barton Hills are two great schools as far as education goes.
Sandy and I have been here a long time and visited every elementary school in town. And I specifically would notice when we go to both those schools that you mentioned. There's other ones on the list.
Sure.
Barton Hills and Zilker. You could just there were always a lot of parents in the classroom.
Yep, exactly.
And a lot of parental involvement, and the kids were just sharp.
Yep.
I mean, we would visit K through 3, and you'd see a difference from a lot of the other schools around town. Other Austin area schools.
What's really sad is I guess officially it's the AISD Facility Master Plan Task Force. That's the group that's, in charge of deciding on which schools get closed. Well, they're not even taking into account educational standards and how well a school performs. What they're taking into account are two things. Old demographics from 10 years ago that show our neighborhood with not a lot of kids in it. And number two, the facility itself, which, okay, Zilker, it's, a shabby facility, but it's not what's on the outside, it's what's on the inside. And so it's kind of a bummer because the demographics they're taking into consideration, they don't realize there's 20 kids on my street, 15 on the next street that are going to be going to Zilker next year and the following year.
Okay.
So it's really, I don't know what their guidelines don't make sense.
So what's going to happen tonight?
Okay, so at 4:30 p.m., we're meeting at Zilker Elementary School, which is 1900 Bluebonnet Lane. I'm going to be there. Matt the electrician's going to be there. And Sarah Hickman's going to be there, and a bunch of people speaking about this. But then, more importantly than the rally at 4:30, at 6 o'clock, we're all going over to the Burger Center for a big community meeting. And that's a big deal. The more people that show up to that is actually more important than the rally, because we need our voices heard. And, you know, for people to know that we shouldn't be closing schools that shouldn't be closed.
My wife is went to Zilker
What, buddy?
Elementary. I got it wrong yesterday.
She went to Zilker?
Yeah, she went to Zilker.
Oh, really?
My wife went to Zilker Elementary, and
She's 17 now.
she is flipping out that they're talking
Yeah.
about. Because she was part of they let the kids pick the mascot for the school.
Yes, I remember that.
She was one of the ones that picked the mascot for Zilker Elementary.
Very cool.
And I don't know if she knew this was going on, because I just texted her, and she said, "Are they closing it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she
She's
said,
mad now.
She's
I
mad
bet.
as hell.
Yeah.
And she's like, "They can't close it. I helped pick the mascot and the colors.
That's
the
awesome.
Panthers."
She needs to
Yeah.
go to the rally.
Yeah,
That's-
so she'll probably
should
be there
definitely
tonight.
come.
Yeah,
I just don't understand it. You know, we'll see what happens.
yeah. So again, let's reiterate and remind people again.
Yeah.
Tonight, it's really twofold. Two things going on. You've got shuttles going on and everything.
Yeah, so that's the deal. At 4:30, if you show up to Zilker Elementary School at 4:30, we're having a rally, and to protest this. And then we're gonna have buses taking everybody to the Burger Center at 6 o'clock. Yeah, Dorian. What's up? You got some action figures here. So yeah, at 6 o'clock at the Burger Center is the community meeting.
And that's where
a
you're
big-
going to play? Are you
No,
playing?
I'm playing at the rally.
Okay.
But, so come to the rally, and then we'll all take you over to the Burger Center, because the more people that they see at the community meeting at 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
that's more effective, because
And
that's where they're really going to decide on things.
This is a well-performing school.
Yeah,
all of these
exactly.
schools are
Well, that's the
It's not
thing.
like we had at Eastside Memorial now, where they were not performing
Right.
academically, and they had to reconstitute the school, and they had to rename the school.
And everyone was dropping out.
Right,
There were a
it's-
lot of things going on.
That's not the
Yeah.
problem here.
Zilker is, and Barton Hills both, I mean, they're just institutions. Like,
Yeah.
They're so important to the community, and,
I know, and
these
you brought a
kids.
good point. If you looked at that neighborhood 10 years ago, you would see families that have been there, probably moved there in the 70s, and their kids are raised, and then now those people have since retired in other communities, and young families have moved in. That total revival.
it's a
in that
total
neighborhood.
revival, and the number, what they're using, they're not looking at today's facts,
Yeah.
which is that there's a ton of kids on every street in those neighborhoods. Bless you, my man.
Ben,
Bless you, my man.
very cool of you to take
So-
up the cause.
Well, thank you,
And,
for letting me come in and tell everybody, spreading the word about it.
Well, I know there's a Save Zilker and Barton Hills rally page on Facebook that you can probably find pretty easily and get the details there. We'll post it. And
What is
blast
going
it
on
out.
with this city? They want to ban us from wake surfing Lake Austin, and now they're going to be
Really?
closing down cool schools.
Yeah, and there was even music, decibel limits
Yeah.
outdoor, which I was
I
like,
know.
come on,
We're
the
losing our
music city
minds.
of the capital
Right, I
of
know.
the world.
I'm with you. Ben, thanks for coming in,
Hey,
man. Dorian, nice
thank
meeting
you.
you, buddy. You want to say hi on the radio again?
Hey.
Hey.
Your favorite band.
Future Panther right there. 9 minutes after 8 o'clock. It's a Jamie and Sandy show. At Mix 94.7 and Mix947.com.